Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
He wants to cut 5 cabinet-level programs, 5 of them. Do you know that we could survive with 0 effect in this country with 60% of all of the government programs stopped, gotten rid of, kicked out the door?
Absolutely. No
so
doubt.
There's that much overlap.
Oh, no doubt. There's tremendous overlap for purposes of graft. Obviously.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Exactly.
You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize this, and that's why the Founding Fathers decided that we should have a small federal government, that politicians should be like, it should be a time of service. You know,
exactly.
And then you go back to your private life, and they never were supposed to be getting these exorbitant salaries and then writing books and doing speaking tours and making $70 million 2 years after they're out of office. This is obviously corporate payback for their criminal activity.
Who exerts the largest control? What political entity? And let's not. I'm not going back to Israel because again, I'm not.
Yeah, every time you talk about Israel, we lose our Skype connection. Let's stay off Israel.
At all. Because Zionism and Judaism are 2 totally different things.
Oh, exactly. I preach the same. It's the truth, though. Zionism. The Zionists are some of them are Jews, but Zionists are Christians. Zionists are. I mean, you know.
Yeah, Joe Biden said. Vice President Joe Biden said to AIPAC meeting. You know, you don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist, because it's just a belief. Yeah, it's just a belief in the state of Israel. Not a Jewish religion or anything.
Let's figure this out about who exerts, what political system exerts the biggest amount of control in this country. Do you think it's Congress? Because if you do, you're wrong. Do you think it might be the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court?
No.
Because if you do, you're wrong. Do you think it's the executive branch? No. If you do, you're wrong. Do you know what body, what unity?
The Federal Reserve
easily exerts the largest amount of political power in this country.
Federal Reserve?
Lobbyists.
No, it's the lobbyists. He's right. It's the lobbyists of the corporations. Absolutely. No doubt about it.
Every single congressman that wants to get reelected, every single president, every single senator that wants to get reelected, they have a script they need to follow. And they know damn right well, if they don't stand a snowball's chance in hell. If they don't, and you watch, I have watched so many really, truly patriotic people get elected into office, congressmen on their first term, representatives, but they have a very short term. So they're constantly running for re-election versus a senator who's got a 6-year term. He only has to worry about that every 4 years. But a representative is constantly worried about that, okay? They go in with a pure heart. And it only takes 2 years to find out that if you don't play their game, you go home and you don't come back.
Well, since you're talking about lobbyists, it's good. I want to point out, do you see how Mitt Romney's getting so much from Wall Street now?
Oh, God, yes.
I
have a list.
He seems like he's getting more than Obama right now from Wall Street.
He is. Because you see, if Romney wins, the globalists win. We were talking about that before you came on air, Roger. It's absolutely true. Romney is just a clone of, just a clone of Obama. Another typical puppet that's just bought and paid for. I mean, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah,
you just named the 4th thing right there, Howard. You just named the 4th thing that they're so absolutely paranoid about Ron Paul about, okay?
He's not a puppet.
Every time Obama gets up there to that pulpit and he reads a speech, he is reading a script provided to him.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the strings being pulled.
I've seen the screen. It says "lie to them" on it. That's what it says.
Now, what do you think's going to happen when Ron Paul steps up to that podium to read a speech?
He's going to write his own speeches. He already does a daily blog. He writes his own speeches. He does his own radio broadcasts. I mean, he's real. He's the only one that's really real. I know. I even have friends that hate Ron Paul. They think he's a Masonic Luciferian, and I just can't buy it, man. And it just doesn't. I mean, I don't understand why they go there. It's just like this demonization of a guy that's got nothing but a perfect record when it comes to liberty.
For 30
years. He's been saying what's happened. His good friend, Larry P. McDonald.
Over and over and over again.
Well, Larry P. McDonald. Do you remember Larry P. McDonald? You're old enough to remember the Korean airliner that got shot down, 007? That's how the New World Order got rid of him. They shot down an airliner with 248 people on board to get him when he was invited to go to a John Birch Society event and in Korea. And yeah, so supposedly the plane went into Soviet airspace, and they never found his remains. They couldn't find the plane. Supposedly they found the black box 10 years later. He was the head of the at the time he was the head of the John Birch Society, and he went on Crossfire in 1983 and stated that the Council on Foreign Relations is leading us into a world government. Through the Rockefeller Foundation, and Tom Braden called him asinine on air. You can go on Google this and go to YouTube, and you can find the whole thing with and this again. He was, and when Ron Paul was running for president, running for Congress for the first time. Now Larry P. McDonald was a Democrat again, he was a Democrat. But if you listen to him, he was the head of the John Birch Society. He was right wing as you can go, right? But he knew that the parties were nothing. It was vote for the party. And what he said to Ron said, what's your advice? Well, go with the party that you think you can win. And that's what he did. And then when he ran in then after, of course, Larry was killed, and they were good friends. I mean, that was who he was his mentor, bringing him into Congress. And then only 5 years later, he's killed.
That's a true statement, though. I do think that anybody running for office needs to go with the party they think they can win with, and it's exactly what Ron Paul is doing. But let's put the
that's the point. That's the whole point. He's not a real
positive spin on that, okay?
Yeah.
Ron Paul could not win, has not even close to a chance to win as an independent.
Yep.
He has no chance of ever running as a Democrat. Yeah. But the only way he can get up there and get his word out is to get onto the Republican ticket. Is he, by definition, a Republican? Well, let me ask you a question.
He's a libertarian.
Compare him to George Bush. I did a 4-page essay, a lot of research, almost 5 weeks of research on this.
Wow.
So, and just compare him, the two of them, George Bush and Ron Paul. They are polar opposites.
Yeah, he's an Abraham Lincoln Republican.
The name of the essay was, when is a Republican not a Republican, and who isn't a Republican? And guess who the Republican wasn't? George Bush.
Yeah. Well,
the only true Republican in that whole group is Ron Paul.
Yeah, Ron Paul seems like a founding father to me. Like he's that founding father material. That's what he comes off. Well, I wanted to ask you one question since we're talking about Ron Paul. This is something I keep thinking about is how do you feel though about the whole like Diebold and these companies that are controlling the voting, these private companies that control the voting, to where even if Ron Paul, let's say the majority are behind Ron Paul, how do you feel that that it's going to be accurate and that they're not going to lie about the numbers?
Well, what we need to do is a lot of areas are going to have paper ballots available.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what we need to do is we need to push for that option everywhere.
Absolutely.
And we need to do it before November.
Absolutely.
We need to push for paper ballots, and we need to push for committees that are verifiable to hand count these votes. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't, they will. It's not a guess. It's not a maybe. It's not something I'm paranoid about. It's a fact. They will steal the damn election from us.
Yeah,
not only steal the election, it'll just forget about it. Forget about stealing the election. They've already stolen the country. They're gonna just push. They're gonna push all the buttons that they have written these laws that they've passed over the last 20 years, and just push the button. The hammer's gonna come down. They're just waiting. They're just waiting. I really believe that, Roger. I mean, I don't know.
I really believe that this is our last chance, and if
I think so too.
This time, then just crawl in a hole and pull the cover over and kiss your ass goodbye because it's done.
I don't know about that, but the hot tyranny is, if we don't get Ron Paul in there, I believe it's true. Hot tyranny is only a heartbeat away. I said that the other day. I mean, because there's tyranny already, but it's just soft tyranny. You know?
I won't go that far as to say, again, maybe I should just back up about a pace or two. I won't go as far as to say that if Ron Paul doesn't get elected, it's all over. What I will say is, if by some reason, okay, they steal the election, and we know that he should have won, that you will see an uprising in this country that's going to be, it's going to be something, I mean, even the movies wouldn't do it justice.
Yeah, I believe that. And they really like to amp things up. But look about the last time there was the stealing of the quote-unquote stolen election. You know, people are just like, I don't know. But I guess you're right, because honestly, I don't think that I've ever heard of any candidate that has so many people that literally know, first of all, they're awake, they know what's going on, and they're so passionate, they would just really, they wouldn't just settle for it. You're right. Everybody would just, it would cause a revolution. A phony election could cause a revolution.
And you want to know how scared they are? I want to tell you about something.
They better not fuck that.
All over.
Fuck with that. Really.
Yeah.
All right, I want to tell you about something I found out last night actually, that's all over the internet today, and it is freaking people out like you wouldn't believe. There is a group, okay, a group on Facebook that was having a discussion, and they were thinking about, and I'm not going to name names, and I'm not even going to tell you the name of the group, because you can go on Facebook and find this out yourself. I'm not here to slander any individual, but actually the action that happened. And this group got together, and they were discussing ways to stop Ron Paul in South Carolina. And this is one of the things they discussed openly, okay, was to go out and either make or buy online Ku Klux Klan robes, including the hood. It had to have a hood. And to follow the Ron Paul group around in South Carolina and hold up Ron Paul signs.
Wow. Sounds like the CIA.
It sounds like control. It's definitely paid opposition. Yeah.
but hold on.
It's like the Occupy Wall Street fraud. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Okay? It gets worse. What happened was somebody took a screen picture of this in the group and started passing it around on the internet, and the Ron Paul groups, a lot of my groups, including my core group, which is We the People. The network is We the People Network. It all started from a group called We the People. And that's a big group. It's like 3,600 people. We got a hold of it, too. Well, enough people got a hold of it and complained that they pulled it. This group pulled all of it. They deleted it. So if you go in there today, you can't find it. And then you started to get articles coming out by the media stating that this guy has been threatened with his life, and Ron Paul supporters saying they're going to rape his 4-year-old daughter and kill him for what he's saying.
Wow.
So now what it's turned into is, it started out with this guy doing something extremely racist,
and now
and planning something really, really backstabbing bullshit. It's turned out to him being pitied because he was joking about something, and they threatened to kill him and rape his daughter.
Unbelievable.
So it all is now Ron Paul's fault that all of this happened.
Yeah, well, listen, the demonization, it's typical. It's just like what we put up with the truth movement. I mean, you know, we're exposing... The fact is, the establishment is, like you said, very, very freaked out. And,
they're
you know,
in panic.
They're in panic. They don't know what to do. And they're used to thievery and lying and stealing, so they're going to just, I guess, increase their efforts, which will make them fuck up a little more. You know, they're going to drop the ball a few times, and we got to be able to, you know, pick it up and run with it, because I think they're going to make some big mistakes.
Do that, Howard.
What?
People like you got to do that.
Well, that's what we do.
You have the perfect forum for that.
Well, that's what we're doing. You know, we do it, you know, and we're going to be putting more shows together, actually. Now, listen, speaking about the network and everything, I know, like, we've been talking about Ron Paul, and obviously our nation is under threat here, but I mean, what we're doing is getting this network together. So give me some more insight into the network. Now, if folks want to go and, of course, participate in this growing network, they go to Facebook, or is there a website, or...
Well, this is what you do, okay? We don't deal with individuals. We deal with forums. And that means if you have a website, if you have a Facebook page, if you have a Facebook group...
Oh, like UnitedTruthSeekers.com on Facebook, for example.